We're getting right into it today, baby, on a Monday. We're going to bring the energy on a Monday because you know what? I like to be fuel to start the week. And here's the crazy thing, Sean. I'm doing iced coffee today because it's so fucking hot. But I'm going to wait till the ice goes into my thing first. And then I'm just going to dump this. I don't know if that's how iced coffee is made. But I'm just going to put coffee with ice because, I don't know. I drink it black anyway, and it's hot as shit. Anyway, we got Shot of Spit of the Morning on a Monday. We're starting it out strong here for episode 28, I think. Who's 28? Any good 28s out there?
27 or 28?
I think because maybe it's 20. You think we know? It's 28, I think, because we did our Mike Trout episode after our Trace Utley episode. 28. And now we got 28, which I don't know what 28. Either way, we're presented by Off Base Media here on Monday, June 23rd edition of the program. And we got a lot of weekend baseball covering, a nice look ahead for this upcoming week. But anything good happened this weekend? I don't know. Phillies are first place. That's crazy.
Yeah, Phillies being in first place is huge. It was a good series against the Mets. I mean, they looked really good. Gives us a lot of talk about with the Phillies. A lot of moving parts. Not so much first place. That's the only really one that changed. But so a lot of people moving back in the divisions, which is kind of crazy. Which we're gonna get to later when we do our standings check. But first, there are a couple of things we wanted to note on before we get to that standings check that happened this weekend, and of course our little vibe check. And Cal Riley just being a beast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no other way to put it. Cal Riley is one of the best hitters in baseball, having one of the better seasons, or I guess first halves in baseball ever, right? He's set the record for most home runs by a catcher before the All-Star break, beating people who are think is the best catcher of all time in Johnny Bench. He's the first switch hitter with 30 home runs before the All-Star break, and joins Ken Griffey Jr. as the only Mariner to hit 30 home runs before the All-Star break. Crazy. And it's all nuts to me because he also plays a platinum level glove behind the dish as well. So you can't really talk enough about what this guy is doing. His lines this year, he's had 31 bombs, 66 RBIs. He's only struck out 82 times on the year, which isn't bad. And then he's hitting 276 on the year average-wise. So shout out Cal Riley. He's doing everything he can to keep that Mariners team afloat. They aren't doing too hot overall because we talked about it on our last episode. The supporting cast just isn't getting it done around him. But it's not because of Cal Riley. Cal Riley's doing everything he can.
Not because of Cal Riley. He had a very good weekend on the north side of Chicago. 4 homers in 3 games. So he homered at least 1 homer in every single game of that series. He hit 2 on Friday. Also swiped the bag that day. He's got 9 stolen bases. Sneaky 9 bags for Cal. But, I mean, he had a really good weekend, of course. A 3-hit day, a 2-hit day, bunch of bombs, bunch of ribbies. I mean, and I love that when we talk about Cal now, and he's the first switch hitter with 30 homers before the All-Star break. That sticks out to me. And then joins Ken Griffey Jr. as the only Mariner with 30 homers at the break. Like, a lot of times when we talk about Cal, it's very much based on because of his position. He's a catcher, and we talk about a lot of times when we break down catchers, we talk about is he an offensive catcher or a defensive catcher, and that's how you can talk about catchers around the league. Like Cal does both, and now I think you have to. I mean, for a while now, but definitely after this past weekend and how we stroll into break, you're looking at Cal Riley not just as a catcher. It's good. His numbers are good for a catcher. His numbers are good in general, and he's literally should be talked about as one of the best switch hitters. I don't know about all time. That's a kind of a stretch. But you talk about switch hitters in the game. Who's doing switch hit shit like that? Like that's the type of level I'm looking at. Like, yes, the production from a catcher, but the production as a switch hitter, I don't know if we've seen it to this extent. And there's been some pretty good switch hitters in the past. So I'm looking at him
as obviously a lot of good
hitter. Yeah.
Yeah, there's good switch hitters, but they are a lot of average guys. And there's nothing wrong. We're big average guys over here. Like, of course, you're gonna get some power from some people that comes and goes, but nothing to this extent. Like nothing to what he's doing. It's like every single time he steps in a dish, you're expecting him to go yard at this point, which is wild. You don't really think of that when a switch hitter and a catcher at the same time. That's awesome to see in my eyes.
It really is. And like you said, the defense too. I mean, that's really what put me on to Cal Riley pretty much the end of last year, because I think he's had back-to-back season with 30 home runs. and before the season started. Now, I mean, he's pacing to do crazy shit. But I thought that was astronomical because, like, when you look at fantasy and you're trying to go, like, for catchers, you start to notice that a lot of catchers put up similar numbers. Well, Cal Riley stands above because of the power. That's crazy. And then on top of it, he wins a Gold Glove last year. And I'm just like, this guy's a stud, and now he hasn't let up. He's probably having his best season yet. So good for you, Cal. Great weekend to capitalize a already good first half.
And then we'll go to another hitter, the guy who's been the talk of the town as of recent. Devers goes yard against his former team, also gets the last laugh, winning the series, best 2 out of 3. Spin, I got to ask you, did you see that clip of him getting in the box against Aroldis Chapman?
I did not.
Dude, it was awesome. He gets in the box against Aroldis Chapman before the first pitch. They both nodded at each other at the same exact time. It was actually pretty sick.
Well, I didn't see that. It's pretty sick.
But it was cool that we got this early on in the year. The Giants needed this series win because we know how hot the Dodgers are. We know how hard that NL West team is. You got a tough Red Sox. The Red Sox haven't been great all year, but they're still a tough team to play. Red Sox are currently sitting in 4th, but Giants, they're trying to keep up with the Dodgers, and they're also trying to stay ahead of that wild card, which is the wild card going towards the end of the year is going to be crazy because right now it's nuts, and we don't know if it's going to stay like this, but right now it's absolutely insane. But the Giants are getting it done, 44-34, winning the series. Devers is going to be a huge part of that coming down. And I'm going to be completely honest, I don't think the Giants are done, man. I don't think the Giants are done going and getting somebody. I think they want to get another bat, and they might want to get a little bit more bullpen help. But I think Buster Posey's all in on letting these guys win now.
Yeah, Posey's all in. And I actually talked about this. I think when you were on vacation, I was talking about what Posey, like kind of when the Devers news broke at first. One of my points was what Posey knows. This is his first year as president of baseball operations over there. What Posey knows, if there's 2 things he knows, maybe 3, it's baseball, it's the Giants organization, and it's winning. Posey's a stud.
Yeah.
So when Posey's rookie year was 2010, and we all know what happened in 2010, World Series. And then what? They won 3 in 5 years. So his first 5 full seasons in the big leagues, he had 3 rings. That's Posey. So he knows how to come into an organization and win instantly. Now he's applying that to his first year as president of baseball operations with the same club, which I think is fantastic. So he knows how to win in this club. All he knows how to do is basically go into a place and win. That's what Posey knows, a winner. And yes, he doesn't let his foot off the pedal. They look good. And he said, you know what? Let's attack on Devers. And I think you're right. I don't know what else they're going to have to hit for the trade deadline. I would assume it's arms, because you can never have too many arms. Their pen has been pretty good, I think, in the month of June, maybe even May. I think they've been one of the better pens. But you always want to touch up on their back end of the rotation. If they do bring in an extra bat, I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong with that. So I don't think Posey and the boys are done either. He's obviously a stud. He knows how to win. And by the way, totally called the weekend in San Fran. Totally called it. Fucking, I want to recap everybody. When Boston comes into San Francisco, all the talk of the town is Devers. We all knew that. Coming against his former team. Didn't see the Chapman thing. That seems pretty sick, though. And it was one of the last games of the night on Friday. There's this high anticipation shit. All eyes on this. Devers against this team. And I knew, and then we talked about this because when we talked about the weekend matchup, who was pitching? Hunter Dobbins. And he's been pretty good in these high leverage situations.
Yeah, he's been, yeah.
He talked his talk against the Yankees, went out and shoved 2 times in a row, back-to-back weekends against the Bombers. Now, I don't know if this is like a controversial thing. That's, for lack of a better word, I'll roll with that. But now with Devers against his former club, he's going against him. I knew he can keep him in a game. Boston was going to win Friday, and then San Fran wins the weekend and says, fuck it. They're the better team. They're at home, and they're going to have the last laugh with Devers, and they did. So I love that for San Fran, and I don't think, like you said, they're not taking their foot off the pedal. Posey, continue, all in, all in. Love that for San Fran. Boston, love that they lost too.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's definitely good for the Yankees, with the Yankees kind of struggling. They jump back to get to win the series against Baltimore, 2 out of 3. But Boston has been – this is why I still don't want to give up on Boston yet, because they've been playing good teams well in some areas. They've been losing a lot of heartbreakers, it seems like, almost. Like
could see that.
There weren't really a whole lot of blowouts in this Giants series and stuff like that, but I think Roman and Anthony had a sneaky little good series as well against the Giants too. So that's exciting for the Red Sox. But still sticking on the Giants, I love the fact that you brought up how Buster Posey is just a winner, because when these form, like, you like to see that, and we all know his career got cut a little short because of the drastic injury he took when he was playing. And he also would have a whole lot more awards if a guy over in St. Louis, one of the best catchers of all time, and Yadier Molina, wasn't in the league. Buster Posey would have been talked about a lot more back then. Mm-hmm. But that's just not the case, because Yadi was like one of the greatest of all time and what he doing. Some people will argue the greatest of all time, but that's besides the point. Buster Posey's a winner, knows how to win baseball games. He knows what teams need to win these situations. And if I'm a Giants fan, once again, I don't know how many of them are out there, but I know the
they got a good fan base.
They got a good fan base. I'll give it to them. But they are in good hands with Buster Posey in that front office. It's always nice to see a former player, especially when they played for that team, because he wants it for that team. He wants to see them win. He's rooting for them, not just on the business side of things, but on the field as well.
Yeah, and played for that team, had success with that team. And really quick, before we move on, here's the pot, because you were kind of maybe a little more optimistic on Boston than I guess their fans would be right now. Their fans are definitely like, fuck. But, while you speak on them on a optimistic note, I will throw this in, that they do have a plus run differential. Not that it's going to blow you out of the water, but plus 15 run differential. But the team ahead of them, one of the teams ahead of them in Toronto, is actually negative. So they have a better run differential than Toronto, who is slightly better in the standing. So maybe you can, start to see that they're pitching a little bit better, hitting a little bit better than a team like Toronto, all in all. So, when you try to climb the standings, that's the next guy. That's the next team you have to get to. So I'd start with that and then see how Boston continues to trend. But yeah, they're all in with these young guys, so we'll see how they roll. It'll be interesting for them.
It just so happens with Boston that, where was I going? Oh, that they're in a division where there's two teams playing really good baseball. I guess three teams, because everybody knows the Yankees are good, but the Tampa Bay Rays and Toronto Blue Jays just went on an extreme, hot streak over the last month, you could say, and they shocked a lot of people. People thought the Blue Jays were going to be good, but they had a really slow start to the year, started playing good baseball as of late, and the Rays, who we can talk about them now, are shocking absolutely everybody. We always talk about the Rays, that they're going to play everybody tough. Kevin Cash, right now, he's the manager of the year in my eyes. Like, I don't think there's any ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't know who I would put up in front of him. Maybe AJ Hinch over there in Detroit. You got to give him your credit as well. But you could argue that AJ Hinch has a better roster than what they have on the Tampa Bay Rays. Mm-hmm. Tampa Bay Rays got a third baseman over there who's giving Jose Ramirez a run for his money, and I don't think that's too out of pocket to say. In all honesty,
let's see. Yeah, you could go ahead. I'm going to see these guys, because he has probably better in the power department. Junior is.
I mean, it's crazy to even say that, because I'm a huge Jose Ramirez fan. The Tampa Bay Rays themselves are getting it done on every single aspect. I know from I
don't think it's out of pocket to say that, Sean.
Yeah, and it's nuts. What's his line?
So he's hitting 265. So J-Ram has him in the batting average.
Yeah.
But 19 homers, 50 ribbies stands out to me, where Jose is at 13 and 36, but 20 stolen bases. So he's going to be like more of an average stolen base guy. I mean, he does have pop with 13 and 36. But I keep saying this. I keep making this point. There's going to be an elite class of players with 20 homers, over 20 homers, and 50 ribbies by the All-Star break. Maybe I should change it to like 25 and 60 the way some of these guys are. I should probably change that to 25, 60, because we're seeing a lot of these guys. Well, Caminero is sneaky, one of those dudes with a shit ton of ribbies, and he's showing off the pop. I think he just had a really good weekend too.
And he's like mid to late 20s. Like, he's a young guy. And I know a bunch of Rays fans right now are just saying, please, for the love of God, do not trade this guy. Let's actually get our star and keep him this time. Let's not have any incidents like they did with our shortstop over there. But here's a little Underdog MLB, great account. Go follow the account. They're awesome. Post a lot of cool stats. But this is Tampa Bay Rays since May 9th. First in runs in the MLB, first in steals in the MLB, third in ERA and third in WHIP with a 27-13 record, best in the MLB. They just won the series against the Tigers. So a lot of people are probably going to say, well, this is kind of a fluke. I don't necessarily think it's a fluke. Like, you have Jonathan Aranda, who's probably going to be an all-star this year. Yandy Diaz is making a case to be an all-star. He's hitting 282, 12 bombs, 44 ribbies on the year. That's not a bad line. He's not going to be an all-star, but it's not a bad line at all. Brandon Lowe, 264, 15 homers on the year. And then we already talked about Junior. But then, like, even now, Christopher Morel has been turning around as of late since coming back from injury and stuff like that. Cameron Meisner, he's young, but he's still, contributing. And then their pitching, being led by, I guess, Ryan Pepiot and Shane Baz, hasn't been terrible at all. They had shaky starts, but Shane Baz has a 7-3 record. Like, that's no like coincidence kind of thing, So this Rays team is solid, and they're going to play you hard every single night. Do I think they're contending for a World Series? No, but I think they're a lot further ahead than a lot of people think.
Yeah, and I think what the best pitcher is Rasmussen, who actually could be an awesome. So I mean, that makes for at least a solid 3, and maybe we're failing to mention another 1 or 2. Got the Taj Bradleys and the Zach Littells of the world. They've been giving you good starts too. Makes for a very sneaky rotation. I don't know how good their pen is. I think that's kind of been their thorn in their side for a little while now, because they'll always be able to. They get production out of their pen. I feel like historically. That's why when you say like it's not a fluke, it's not, because they've been doing it year after year after year. I thought that their window was going to close pretty much this year, last year, and this year. I thought their window was closed. That's it. They've proven to, because they're not a big window team, with their payroll and they don't have a lot of household names. Right now, they don't even have a fucking stadium, Sean.
Yeah,
they're playing in whatever they're playing. So all that considered, the fact that they stay afloat in this organization right now, ahead of the Red Sox that got big names and young guys, Yankees got big names and a big payroll, and they're ahead of Boston. They compete with the Yankees year after year. How about Baltimore was supposed to be the talk of the town, and we maybe forget about Tampa Bay at times. I thought their window closed. Well, guess what? Flip flop, because Baltimore sucks dick, and they ended up being the team with the short window. Yeah. Where Tampa Bay continues to roll. So they always compete in this division and they just play great baseball. I made this point while you were on vacation. I'm gonna keep going back to my points where you weren't here, because I'm trying to. I think I had made some good points, and I want to hear your take on them. But I got pissed off at the Yankees, and I was like, it's a disgrace that the Yankees play primetime games the way that they play baseball, especially when they were losing the way they were losing. It's a disgrace that little leaguers are going to tune in and watch the Yankees dog shit baseball. The Tampa Bay Rays should get primetime games. Everyone has to watch Tampa Bay Rays. They don't have a stadium, a home stadium. They don't have household names. They don't have a big payroll. But, boy, they play great baseball, and they're never going to get primetime games because of what they are rolling with. But they play the greatest baseball of anybody, and Kevin Cash is a stud, and they're the hottest team in this division, 7-3 in their last 10, along with Boston. The hottest team in the division were the Yankees, the big bad Yankees, 3-7 in their last 10. The coldest team in the division, and Tampa Bay only 2.5 back. They kick ass year in, year out, and you can only do that if you play great fucking baseball. Do the little things right. They always do.
Yeah.
I hate that I love them. Because they're a division rival, but how can you not? They do everything right.
When you have a team that doesn't have a whole lot of stars on it, they know their identity. They know who they are, and that's when a team knows that, that's scary, because they know they have to play small ball. They got to steal bags. They got to move runners over. They know exactly who they are, and that's why they're going to be trouble every single time you play them. They don't have the oh my gosh, what am I looking for? Maybe experience come the postseason. But damn, like they would suck to play in come October, because they're going to be sneaky and they're not going to go away. They're going to keep playing you hard every single time.
They're one of the few teams I'm scared of as a Yankee fan. I think Yankee fans, you have to be scared of. There's three teams that are quite evident. It's the 2 first place teams, Houston and Detroit, and then it's the next best thing in your own division, which is Tampa Bay. Other than that, I don't know how terrified I am of anybody. I'm not scared of Toronto. That Boston's any division rival is gonna play you hard.
Especially Boston with that history.
And with Boston, but they've just lost 2 series against Boston. You think Boston's 1 game above 500? Do they just continue to win series as the season goes on? Like I think the Yankees are gonna come back and be able to beat them now that they lost. But either way, like I'm not terrified of central opponents. except it's Detroit, because Detroit is another team that does the little things right and kicks ass. Houston, another team that takes care of business. So those are like the two first place teams, and then probably Tampa Bay is in that conversation. So Tampa Bay, to me, is in the same boat as Detroit and Houston as teams I'm scared of. And the big difference is Detroit has 49 wins, and a lot of people expected them to be the real deal. Houston's been a well-oiled machine for about 10 years now. Tampa Bay has also been a pretty steady machine for about maybe 10 years, but you kind of look at them differently for some reason, and maybe we shouldn't be. Maybe we shldn't be, because they are the real.
They don't have the star power, and they play a different brand of baseball than baseball pushes out. They're all about the long ball, the big hitting and stuff like that. But they have one guy who's going to be sitting at 20 home runs before the All-Star break. The next closest is probably going to be around 18 in Brandon Lowe.
Yeah,
like they play a great brand of baseball. They play the brand of baseball that your grandfather looks at and goes, "Yeah, they're doing it right."
Yeah. He sits in his chair, his recliner. He's got his designated chair, and he'll fucking respect the fuck out of Tampa Bay.
But guess what? We love that kind of baseball over here in Austin media.
I mean,
it sucks. It does suck that they're in your division, because that blows.
They'll play you tough, and I don't know when they will face off. And I think last time they did face off, Tampa Bay wasn't playing good ball. Yankees might have won like a 3 or 4. It was might have been a 4-game series, and it was at their place, which is Steinbrenner Field. That was actually a Yankees facility, and it was at. So I'm assuming next time they face off might be in the Bronx, and the Tampa Bay is a better team now than what they were about maybe 2 months ago, month and a half. So I would be scared for that, absolutely.
But then moving on, I guess we were talking about a lot of young guys, the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm going to talk about another young guy real quick on the Brewers. The pitcher they just brought up, and Jacob Mizorowski. How do you say his last name? Mizorowski?
Mizorowski. We'll see him on Tuesday.
Mizorowski. I think we're getting him against Skeens, aren't we?
We are.
Which is awesome. 2 young guys facing off. Skeens, one of the best pitchers in baseball. This guy's making a case that his name should start being thrown around, and even a rookie of the year, and he's only 2 starts in. I don't know how many scoreless innings he went, but I know he got pulled from his first start because they were worried he got hurt. And then I think he went 6 or 7, maybe 6 scoreless, 6 hitless, 6 perfect innings against the Twins. It got broken up by a Brian Buxton walk and then a Matt Wallner 2-run home run. But Brewers have to be ecstatic for what's going on over there, what they're seeing from this young guy, because they already had their ace who's pitching like an ace in Freddie Peralta. They like Quintana over there as well. Probably, I'm definitely forgetting another guy over there. I think Chad Patrick's had a good year. Is that who I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Chad Patrick's and then you add this guy to the mix. The Brewers might be putting it all together a little bit here. And we're going to talk a little bit more on these teams in depth when we get to our standings check. But this guy's been unbelievable. Definitely making a name already for himself for Rookie of the Year because of how lackluster the NL Rookie of the Year has been. But I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on him. What do you think of this guy?
Yeah, I didn't look too. I saw he was 2-0 on the season. I saw he had another good outing. I didn't look too deep. I mean, in 11 innings this year, he's given up 1 hit in 11 innings. That's fucking nuts. And he's been really good. I think in his debut, I won't judge him too hard. He did have like 5 no-hit innings in his debut before kind of, that injury, not injury, but you saw what happened, right? Like rolled his ankle. He was okay. But either way, I won't judge him too hard because that was a stellar outing despite having 4 walks. But now you kind of ease into your next start now because you kicked ass. You limit the walks, and he went 6 Ks, 1 walk. And then he had a great outing, gets a win. So, I mean, good for him. Like you said, I don't know the rest of the NL Rookie of the Year class. So only in 11 innings, it's kind of crazy we're talking about him. But guess what? When you have 1 hit in 11 innings, I mean, you got to be in that fucking conversation. But you mentioned Chad Patrick. They had a dude, I think his name was Logan Henderson.
Yeah, they sent him back down, though, didn't they?
They sent him back down. But whatever's coming out of the fucking Milwaukee organization on the bump is fucking – these guys are towing the slab as who says that? Fucking the guy I forget who says that. But either way, they're towing the slab and they kick ass. And like you said, you have kind of an identity with your rotation. I like that. You have an established ace in Freddie Peralta. Now these young guys come in and fill the blanks because they had a lot of question marks to their rotation entering the season and a lot of injuries. Now they're making moves too. They made that trade for they traded Aaron Savali to the White Sox. I don't even know what that trade fucking was. It was an under the radar trade, but they dealt him, and maybe to make move for a Mizorowski. Maybe that's how Mizorowski started, because they dealt Savali. But either way, who's the other guy I'm forgetting about? DL Hall comes off the IL, and that's what sent Logan Henderson back down. But he was pitching stellar. So we'll see what they ultimately do. I wouldn't hate if they cleaned house a little bit, try to get some good outings out of DL Hall, and maybe his trade stock goes up for teams that need arms. And then you know that you have young guys in your organization that can step up greatly. And we'll see how Milwaukee continues to trend. 7-3 in the last 10, 4-game win streak in a decent little division this year. I got to see more offensively with them, but they are a scrappy little team. They got a bunch of motherfuckers on that team.
Yeah. So I mean,
we're Sal Frelick on the bases.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about a little bit more about them, because they're gonna be our talk of the town when we get to the Central a little bit here. But also, one more notable before we kind of move on. I guess two more notables, but your boy Luke Wheeler back Friday. Didn't have it Friday. Is he your closer? What do you think they ended up doing with him kind of in the pen?
Yeah, I think I was questioning this when the news kind of was, when he was going to come back on Friday. I was like, I don't know what's his deal's going to be, because I think Devin's been better. And then Booney, whatever Boone said, I kind of liked. He was like, we look at Weaver to be like a high leverage guy if he have to go 1 or 2 innings, or if we have to bring him in the 7th if need be. We know we can do it there. If we had to bring him the 8th or 9th, we could do it. So he's kind of this like versatile reliever. If you need 2 innings out of him, you can do it. If you need him for the 7th, he can come out. God forbid you need him in the 7th. Well, maybe, I don't know. Whatever. That's a different thing. I put scenarios in my head that scare me. I hope they just need him to, not diffuse too many fires in the 7th. But if you need him for like a setup man or a closer, you can use him for that. So I like his versatility in that regard. Didn't really have his best stuff on Friday, but that was his first start or his first appearance back, and I think he will be just fine. I'm sure he's set to pitch today, because I don't think he pitched Saturday, Sunday, and they all these games in a row. So I'm sure we'll probably see him today. And that's another thing. Like, even if the Yankees are winning big, if they have like a 4 or 5 run lead late in the game, I think we'll see him tonight just to stay loose, plus Devin pitched yesterday. So I think we'll see him to kind of stay loose, and he can do it in that scenario too, where it's not necessarily a close game, but he can come out. So I think his versatility will answer a lot of questions on he doesn't necessarily have to be the closer. And if he does have to close out games, he definitely can. But I just think he's versatile enough that you can use him in most situations. And now, thank God, Devin Williams is pitching better, so you don't have to force him back into that role. Luke Weaver, that is, because Devin's been good. So you don't have to force Luke Weaver back into that high leverage role right out of the gate. But if you need him for that role, he can do it. So I like the fact that he is versatile enough. You can kind of pick and choose with Luke.
Awesome. All right, and then we'll talk about a little bit more about this on Wednesday. But Max Scherzer is going to be making his return Wednesday.
You know who we're seeing this week? I guess we will talk about this later in the program. But I think early this week, between now and Thursday, we'll see Verlander, Kershaw, Scherzer.
Yeah, which is really cool to see, especially for everybody who grew up watching them. I mean, there's so many. They've been unbelievable. But anyway, let's move on. Let's get to our standings check. Wild. Like I said, not a whole lot of too many moving parts when it comes to first place. Phillies are the only ones who really jumped. Everything else kind of stayed the same, but a lot of movement below that, which we're going to talk about. So first, I'm going to start with the Phillies. Phillies over the Mets. Philly has sole possession of first place. Suck it, Mets. Suck it, Frank the Tank. Frank Tank's freaking out right now.
I love it.
So, yeah, Friday they looked really good. The hitting looked unbelievable. Same thing with the pitching. I mean, I can't say enough about Zach Wheeler. I mean, I could sit here and talk about Zach Wheeler for the next hour of how great he's been for the Phillies. People are talking about him that he's the best Phillies pitcher ever. That's a lot more in-depth conversation, because we've had a lot of great pitchers.
Who's saying that?
There's a lot of them. I mean, you talk about Holiday. I mean, Carlton,
yes,
Cole Hamels. Like, we've had a lot of pitchers over the time, but there's people who are saying that he's the best ever put on a Phillies jersey. But
I respect it.
Can't
respect
say,
it, but,
can't say enough about him. But then you go to Saturday. Mick Abel didn't look great. Listen, kid's young. He's going to have outings like that. Apparently, there was something on Twitter that he was tipping his pitches. I don't know how true that is, but I digress. I'm not worried about him that much. I'm not worried about Mick Abel that much. I think he's going to be fine. Mets have a very good hitting lineup. They're very good. Juan Soto got the best of them. Guess what? Juan Soto gets the best of a lot of people, Mick. Don't worry about it, dude. But the biggest part of the weekend was how well Jesus Luzardo pitched yesterday. That was awesome to see him come back out there and have that stellar start that he did. That was huge for us because a lot of people, not me too much, because I didn't expect Jesus Luzardo to keep it up for what he was doing, but I still needed him to go out there and give us some quality starts, and he gave us more than a quality start yesterday. So good on him. But before I get into the question I'm going to ask you, I just wanted to give one shout out to Otto freaking Kemp. Automatic Kemp is here to stay, man. 260 on the year. His numbers aren't going to blow you away, but dude, does he make things happen when he's out there. And that's what we needed. We needed that kind of small ball, scrappy guy who once he gets on base, he's quick. He's also played 3 different positions. He's played left, third base, and first base for us right now. And a team that has a lot of moving parts right now. We don't know what we're going to do with the outfield. We don't know where Bryce Harper is at with first base. Bohm, is going to need some off days here and again. So, the fact that he can play all these positions, being only 26, 27, and still giving you timely hits also. Timely hits. He's got, over the past 7 days, he only has 2 RBIs, but they come up in big moments. So he hits with runners in scoring position, which is huge to see. And I'm really hoping that when Bryce comes back, we still find a spot for this guy. I really like what Otto Kemp's doing. But the one thing I wanted to ask you about is on the opposite side of the people who just fell out of first place is the Mets. Are you starting to worry a little bit more about the Mets pitching, the Mets line, or the Mets lineup? Do you think the Mets pitching is coming more back down to earth, or is their lineup coming more back down to earth? Which one are you more worried about?
I'm worried about the pitching in Queens, and I've been for a while, even when they were on their high horse. And I wasn't, trying to knock them off their high horse, even though we hate the Mets, and I have no problem with Mets slander. I think they're a bunch of pieces of shit. They have more mascots than World Series rings. If they with the addition, Mr. Met, Mrs. Met, the addition of Grimace last year, well, they only have 2 rings. So when you have more mascots than rings, I mean, come on, you're pieces of shit, basically. So I'm not trying to knock them off of their high horse back when they were on their high horse, but I was very concerned about their starting rotation, not really taking into account for injuries. If anything, I was optimistic for their staff with guys getting off of injury, Minaya and Montez. And Montez is actually, I think he's coming back this week. I'm pretty sure, and we'll see. I don't know Manaya's status, but that's the one good thing, because now I think with Senga hurt, I think Miguel is hurt, right? Miguel's hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So that is crazy. And I remember making this point pretty much throughout the whole season. I think we talked a little bit on Friday when we were doing a look ahead for this series. I don't know Clay Holmes on a full season what he's supposed to look like as on the mound. And even if he looks good, does he eat innings? I don't know if he's an innings eater. I don't know if David Peterson, who I actually really like, by the way, I don't know if he's an innings eater. And I liked him last year. I don't know if he's an innings eater. Clay Holmes was in the fucking bullpen last year, a failed closer turned starter. I don't know if he's like this big, even Miguel, who's now currently hurt, I don't know if he's a big innings eater. Even Senga, who's hurt, I don't know if he was this big innings eater. I don't know who these guys are. They're really much banking on the fact that Minaya and Montez, who could be innings eaters because they've been around the block, we're going to also come on the team at the right time, because I think we're seeing Montez this week and then Minaya maybe shortly after. So that's going to be big for them. That's actually almost going to have, I'm going to use an Aaron Boone quote here. That's going to almost have the feel of a deadline acquisition when you can just have those guys come off injury. That's what that could feel like, and add pitching depth, which they do need right now. But I don't know how sustainable a guy like Griffin Canning, who's been really good, I don't know how sustainable he is on a full season. He's not like this historically great pitcher, but he's been giving you good outings. Is he going to continue? Going to pick that up? And even when Montez comes back, even if Minaya comes back, I don't know if they're your saving grace. I don't know if they have a true lockdown ace. Certainly don't think they have an innings eater right now. That's what concerns me about their rotation. Is it good for the long haul? We knew that they had stuff to address rotation wise at the beginning of the year, and they made it happen at the beginning of the year. Dog days of summer roll around. It's a long fucking season. How does their pitching, are they sustainable? Especially you got to compete with the Phils, and we know how their arms look. So I don't know. I am concerned about their rotation. Is it good? Is it built for the long haul? That I don't know. They're 2-8 in their last 10 right now. They'll still compete with the Phils. There'll be a dogfight for first place. I don't think it's like dog shit. But I mean, I look at even the guys in Atlanta. They have a big three. Who's the big three in the Mets? It's just like a lot of.
I would give the ace status to, like, Kodai just gets hurt a whole lot, and that's the scary part about Kodai. When he's on the bump and he's healthy, he does pitch really well. So we do have to give him somewhat of credit to Kodai. But you're right about the rest of them. The rest of them, they don't really know. It's not that I would say they don't really have much of an identity. They were hot in the beginning of the year, but you're exactly right. How do they shape up over the full course of the year? So I think that's a great point when you're talking about the Mets.
And Senga, yes, Senga, good, really like ace. But my thing with Senga is good rookie year, like 2 years ago. Last year was like hurt pretty much the whole season, with the exception of, like, I think he was hurt. They came back, got hurt again, and then came back. Right, like,
yeah.
So to me, like, yes, it's good to see him when he is healthy pitch well, because he was pitching well before he got banged up. And he's always like running off the mound. He's always just banged up, like running off like PFP shit. Yeah. Either way, like, it's good to see that, but that's a lot of. I guess he was going like 6 innings before, giving you quality starts. But I mean, that's a lot of like, I don't want to say like eggs in one basket, but like, what am I trying to say? Like, that's a lot of you're really banking on Senga, who doesn't have a large sample size of staying healthy. Like, when he's proven to be healthy, he's good. And I'm not trying to shit on him for an injury, but guess what? Newsflash for everybody out there: injuries set you back. I hate to break it to everybody. Everyone shit on me for talking about Strider getting hurt. Well, guess what, guys? Injuries do set you back, you fuck faces. So I mean, that's just how it is. So I hate to shit on a guy for that. It's not his fault, but it is going to set you back. And there's not a large sample size of him in a full season staying healthy, and we saw him be good when he was healthy, but now he's banged up again. So it's just too much for me, man. It's too much for Queens, especially when you compete with the Phils, who just maybe of the best staff in baseball. I don't know, maybe
they're certainly up there. I mean, I think you can't, when you're talking about the best staffs in baseball, you can't throw the Phillies name in there. But real quick, back to the Phils, I just wanted to shout out a couple people. For the amount of shit that Alec Bohm got in the beginning of the year, he's looked unbelievable as of late. In his last 7, he's batting .348 in that last 7. So kudos to him. He really kind of like silenced the noise this time and just really come back into that. He doesn't have much power. He never has had a whole lot of power, but he is gonna hit. He's gonna hit the baseball. He's gonna get on base. So that's big for us in that regard. I still am not going to throw all my eggs in Alec Bohm's basket until I see him have a good playoff run. You know what I mean? That's just kind of the point I'm at with a lot of these Phillies guys. But number one, and we talked about him getting benched a little bit, saying something to Rob Thompson. And listen, I love that move by Rob. It's your clubhouse. You have to make it known that it's your clubhouse, right? You have to.
You're saying Castellanos?
Yeah. So Castellanos. Over his last 7, he's hitting .381 with 5 RBIs. He was huge in that Mets series. Huge in that series. He's been Mr. Consistent for them, kind of that throughout the whole year. He's batting .286 on the year. The home runs have taken a little dip with 8 bombs and he's got 41 ribbies, but he's got 21 doubles on the year. Which, I mean, he's been Mr. Consistent for us. Great for him. And Bohm, speaking of consistent, Bohm's batting .290 on the year now. So like, I gotta give some of these guys credit where credit is due, because I've shit on a lot of them in the past. But once again, I'm back. I'm still at the point where I need to see what these guys are going to do come October before I still kind of am in completely or out. So yeah.
Well, here's my thing about Bohm. What is Bohm gonna do? I like that you're giving him a little love, because what does he have to do for a little bit of love? It feels like when he is not playing good, everyone knows about it because they'll shit on him. But when he is all in all, not an awful start to his season, and he was an all-star
No.
last year. Didn't have a terrible season last year. Okay, realistically, this guy, you look at his baseball reference, he's a very productive third baseman, all in all. But boy, no one is going to talk about him in that light. But at the same time, when he's playing bad, everyone will let everyone know about him.
Because it's his demeanor when he's in those slumps. He kind of brings it on himself. He does a lot of moping. He doesn't look great. You know what I mean? You like your guys to still be. It's not, you want them to be pissed off that they're not doing well, but there's a fine line, and he loves to walk that fine line when he isn't doing a whole well. And also when it's bad, it's really bad because he doesn't have like the power numbers to back it up. He's not like when he's hitting a low average. It's not like Schwarber where he's still hitting bombs. He's not really doing a whole lot of anything. That's why the bad looks really bad. And when he's good, it's a whole lot of singles, which, listen, I'll take that. I love guys on base. Get guys on base, hit them around, hit them in kind of thing. But that's why when it's good, he's not going to get like talked about in this amazing light, in a sense, I guess you could say. His defense has really turned around. He plays really good defense, plays the corners now, and plays both of them well. So that's kind of like why he doesn't get a whole lot of love, and he gets a lot of hate when it's bad.
Yeah, it's never gonna. I guess whatever he does is not good enough. Hey, but at least back in the day when he made that one quote, like I fucking hate this, but
Yeah,
they made shirts out of it, so that could be his legacy when it's all said and done.
it damn well might be. But I guess we'll move on now to the Central. The talk of the town in the NL Central is the Brewers. Now in second place, 3.5 games out, 4-game win streak, swept the Twins. When you're talking about the Central, you have to talk about the Cubs. Cubs are going to probably have 2 all-star starters out there in center and right, and Kyle Tucker and PCA. PCA has been in MVP talks the whole entire year, but the Brewers, they start out real slow, but have been real good as of late. I wanted to note that everybody seems to be getting it done in an offensive standpoint right now. It's not just one guy doing it. They're doing it as a clubhouse, which is awesome to see. And we already talked about how good their pitching is. So I wanted to kind of pose this question to you. Is this crediting the Brewers being good as of late? Or is this the Cubs kind of coming a little bit back down to earth?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of both. The Cubs, yeah, I mean, the start that they got off to was incredible. And, we keep talking about it. There's going to be peaks and valleys to every team. And if one of the valleys for the Cubs in the first half is being 5-5 in their last 10, and still with 46 wins, 3.5 games up on Milwaukee, if that's like considered low for them, I mean, this just speaks volumes to how well they started. But to come back down to earth, I think it was kind of a given, especially when they have pitching injuries. Steele goes down early and they were able to stay afloat. Imanaga, I guess, is coming back at a certain point. I don't know his stats. But he goes down and they're able to stay afloat. And you look like Matthew Boyd looks like a fucking all-star right now. And they've been getting really good outings from Jamison Tyone. Guys like that have stepped up greatly, as well as the back half. There's still question marks. They still need arms, and there's still question marks in the pen. So they need arms left and right. Well, where Milwaukee, we were talking about this earlier, Milwaukee seems to be getting arms left and right. So good on them. It's really going to come down to pitching down the stretch, but we know Chicago has the offense to prevail. I like their offense more than Milwaukee's by a long shot.
Yeah.
So, I think there's that. But, yeah, I think it's going to be somewhat trendy. And at the very least, I do like that this division does have 4 teams above 500 right now. Really good for a Central team because I really shit on both the Centrals. Maybe we both do.
Yeah.
And to see both Centrals divisions be really competitive is actually fucking amazing to see. It makes the race that much more fun.
Yeah, the Cardinals are dropping to third. They're sitting at 42-36, and the Reds 40-38. Reds are probably the streakiest team in baseball. Cardinals have been solid, but we know that they have some holes in their lineup. I thought if anybody was going to compete with the Cubs, it would have been this Brewers team because we talk about they have good pitching.
Yeah.
And it seems so like from a Brewers stat standpoint, right? They will not have, unless Yelich goes absolutely nuclear towards the end of this back half here, they're not going to have a single person at 20 home runs before the All-Star break. And we talk about how there's going to be sneaky guys. Well, they're just not going to have it. And they don't have a single guy right now that's hitting above 300. They only have a handful of guys who are even hitting above 250 right now. So I mean, that's kind of a credit to how well they've been as of late because of how slow they started a lot of these guys. Nothing was clicking for them at the beginning of the year. And now things are starting to click. And I mean, this is kind of it can be a dangerous lineup. Like when you look at it on pen and paper with Yelich, Churio, Reese Hoskins is a big bat in there as well. William Contreras, Bryce Terang was getting it done. It is getting it done. And then even like Sal Frelick out in right field, hitting 298 on the year. He's been awesome for them. How many bags has he stolen on the year?
Frelick?
14. Bryce Terang's got 16. Churio's got 15. This is another kind of, I mean, they're not going to kill you with the long ball. They're going to kill you with getting runners on base, moving them around, timely hitting, and good pitching. It's fun to see over there.
And how's the wild card look? They're not in the picture.
I think they are, actually.
They are. They're actually a half game above San Diego. But here's the thing about Milwaukee. I mean, I don't know if you even – like historically, they don't go on these deep playoff runs. They're good enough to win a division in the past. I don't think they're going to win the division this year. But they're good enough in the past to win a division and then, lose in the first round of the playoffs or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I think that's – if they do make the playoffs, that's going to be a similar thing. If I'm Milwaukee – you know that you have young guys in your starting rotation. Maybe you try to clean house a little bit and get rid of some of the older dudes, clear space for a Logan Henderson and whoever the fuck else. I don't know what they're going to do with that pen. I know your buddy in that for like the 8th inning is a good guy.
Yeah, Uribe's been lights out for them this year.
So let's roll with that. And I don't know if they're Meagle because they have a Meagle for the 9th. I don't know because teams are going to want closers, and I don't know if that's a guy that's worth dealing. But they need a left side of the infield. I mean, who's the guy? You got to have when you lose Adames, that's a big loss. They got to be able to fill those roles, and if they could bring in a power hitting third baseman, that would check off a lot of boxes for them. And
there's not really there are going to be many that are on the market. You know what I mean? It's going to be. Yeah. Even like shortstops are few and far to come between too because they're so important. Like you could go, like Diamondbacks, maybe you go get Suarez. We all know they need help in anywhere they can get, but are they gonna want like a Meagle? Probably not because they know this year's not really their year, dude.
Oh yeah, that's true. But they do have to address their pen. They do have to address their pen.
They do have to address their pen. Maybe they just kind of. I mean, Suarez has been kind of like the talk of the town to get traded. You're right.
And he's a power hitting third base, but I think that would check boxes for the Brewers. Pen pieces would check off boxes for Arizona. I just don't know if Milwaukee wants to go that route in terms of age.
I also don't know if Milwaukee's been much of a deadline kind of talks. They normally stay what they started with most 95% of the time.
Yeah.
Like you would have thought last year if they knew they weren't going to sign Adames back, they would have got rid of him. But I mean, they were first place in the division last year and playing good baseball, so you can't really discredit them for that.
Yeah.
But I like kind of what you're saying, and with that, go get a piece, go get a left side of the infield. Yeah, with them not addressing that was kind of rough. But anyway, moving on.
I like the right side. I kind of like the team all in all, but they need, and I don't know. There's talks about Hoskins doing shit. I don't know.
Yeah, Hoskins
power hitting DH could be something.
Yeah. He'd be big for a team down the line. He would. A guy who's been there in the postseason before too, knows what it's like to play come October. You need a right-handed bat. It's not far off to think that he gets traded. So
he seems like a guy that wants to go out to battle for you too. So
Hoskins is kind of awesome. That guy, right? You would love whatever jersey he's wearing. His heart will always be in Philly. I'll claim that for Hoskins, but he's gonna when he puts your jersey on, he's gonna fight for you no matter what. And he definitely hates the Mets, which is also a positive.
Love it, yeah.
But anyway, moving on, we got the West. Dodgers are still kicking ass, 48-31 in the year. San Diego's 5 games back, 4-6 in their last 10. San Francisco 3.5 games back and 4-6 in their last 10. I think it's kind of pretty safe to say that this is kind of the it's going to be the Dodgers division. My question to you is, can the Padres sneak in and get one of those wild card spots this year?
I fucking say no. Love it. I want to see the Padres fucking play like this. 4-6 in their last 10. They're still 42-35 in third place. Basically right what I had them. So the only reason I say no is because my preseason prediction said no, and I have to ride with them. Also, my preseason prediction had Arizona in second. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. They're a game above 500 in fourth. Fine. No, but I did have think about how Arizona's playing this year and how San Fran, I kind of had them flip-flopped. with San Diego right there, Dodgers, Colorado. So I had some of this stuff pegged. With San Fran, Arizona, I had a flip-flop. But either way, I'm not going back on that. And I do think San Diego is that team. I think they're going to be trendy. Like maybe they put up a little bit of a fight and they go to where they start flirting where San Francisco is. And then maybe they go through a cold streak and they start flirting to where Arizona is and they start flipping. So I think San Diego's the team that's going to be kind of getting gangbanged in this division, for lack of a better phrasing, because I think they're going to be up here, but not too much. I think San Fran's going to have them at the top, and then Arizona's going to be from the back, kind of thing. You know what I mean? I think if you get my analogy, that's a bad one, but you get my point. I think they're going to be like that team in the middle, kind of getting Eiffel Towered by Arizona and San Fran. Bad analogy. I'm sorry, but that's where I had San Diego because I just don't think they're the real deal. And side note, I think I've told this story on the program before. Anytime you think they're going to be good, they're not. History would say, I remember being a little boy back when they signed James Shields. They're probably the same age, Sean. When they signed James Shields, they brought in Justin Upton, maybe even his brother. They brought in maybe Will Myers, not sure. I think they brought in Matt Kemp or some shit. And it was the first time in my whole entire life, I didn't have a lot of life experience at the time, but it was the first time that they started to make moves. And everyone thought they were, including myself, that they were going to start trending in the right direction and be a good team again. And guess what? They stunk. They made all these moves and it still stunk. And from that moment on, I said to myself, the Padres are terrible. Even when you think they're going to be good, they're not going to be good. And I've rolled with that narrative pretty much my whole life so far. And guess what? I still don't even think they have a World Series ring. They were good that one year when the Phillies beat them in the championship round in like 22. They were good then, but I've never had high hopes or expectations for San Diego. I've continued to roll with that narrative. I had them as a third-place team at the beginning of the year, and I love to see my predictions coming true.
I can jump on board with that. I mean, they're just too up and down, but this is a team who is known. They're known to make moves. So if they make the right move, they could be a scarier team. And if they go get maybe like a Taylor Walls,
little clean defense at short.
Yeah, you know what I mean, like something like that. Who knows what they could look like.
Ever since they rebranded, you're right. They have been making those moves. But before they were like this dull, weird team. Now they got a little bit of spunk to them. They did rebrand, and they have been making some trying to be fun and good. So that is true.
They could. So they have like Machado's window is kind of dwindling here, and I think they know that. He's getting up there in age. He's still killing it. He's going to be an all-star starter this year, but I do think that this is a team that goes out and gets somebody at the deadline. Before we move on, I just wanted to give a shout out real quick to somebody we didn't on the Dodgers earlier, which we should have, and Andy Paez, because he's been lights out for them this year. Batting .292, 16 bombs, 52 ribbies. Played in 75 games this year, the second most behind Shohei. Which Shohei's DHing. Paez is playing the field every single time, so that's something. That's not something that you just want to go over slightly with them. And also, boy behind the dish, Will Smith, 328, 9 bombs, 42 ribbies, Mr. Reliable for them this year. So that's just a scary, scary offense that you got to face over there in Chavez Ravine.
Yeah, good for them. I mean, when we checked on Friday, it was what, 1, 2, 3, 4 starters.
Yeah, it was Teskar, or how people were making fun of me for saying Teskar.
Teoscar, yeah. Everyone knows what you mean.
Yeah, Teoscar, Freddie, Will, and
Ohtani DH.
Yeah, Ohtani DH. So there was 4. And obviously, if you want to, it could stay 4 and put Paez out there too. I mean,
yeah, because that's just the starter or like the vote getters at positions. They got 4 of them, and yes, they get a lot of love because they're the Dodgers, but still, vote getters 4 plus. You throw Paez in the mix. We're not even talking about Mookie Betts, by the way.
Yeah,
that's 6. I mean, Tommy Edman's a fucking professional. I don't know if he's I'm not talking about all-stars here. I'm just talking about Dodgers lineup. I mean, he's a professional as fuck. Not like Muncie's like a slouch. Not that I love him, but he's a good ball player.
Hassan Kim too.
Hassan. I mean, yeah, good fucking lineup. We all know it too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many of these guys would be all stars. Good chance they got 6 guys from their offense alone. That's a stretch, maybe. I don't know if it's Mookie's year. Does Mookie make it? I don't know.
Probably not. There's a lot of other shortstops, and Mookie's numbers don't really compare too much to those shortstops.
Yeah,
like if you were to make it over Trey, I'd be pissed. You know what I mean?
And you got Lindor and De La Cruz too.
Yeah. So you got to keep that in mind. He's playing a deep position right now in shortstop. So
his numbers actually don't look too good. I was maybe gonna make the case for Dave Roberts being the manager of the All-Star game. Maybe he shows a little bit of love and say, "Hey, Mookie, come along." But I don't know if his numbers are even good enough to be able to do that.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I guess we'll get over to the AL real quick, and the Yankees still holding on.
How about it?
Interesting division because we talked about the Rays earlier. 2.5 games back. They were only 1.5 games back yesterday, but with a Rays loss, Yankees win, 2.5 now. Toronto 4 games back, and Boston's only 6 games back now. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that leaves 3 of them. Okay, so Boston's a half game out of the wild card, but still right now that's 3 teams, if it ended today, making the playoffs. So how do you see this kind of shaking up? I don't think a lot of people thought it was going to be this close come the All-Star break. Do you think towards the end of the year that this is still going to be this close? Or how do you kind of see these standings shaking up?
That's a good question, right? Yeah, I don't know if people – I think we did see it being close before the All-Star break, but not with these teams, right? We thought Boston and Baltimore would be kind of where Tampa Bay and Toronto are. I do think it will be – it's so weird. I don't know about Toronto. I think Toronto fucking falls, to be honest with you. And I do think Boston can put up more of a fight. And it's not like Baltimore's playing bad ball in June. You know, I don't know if they dug themselves so deep into a hole. I mean, it's pretty fun. They almost have to win out before the All-Star break and then and then kind of use the much-needed break as like a restart. I don't know if that's feasible. But, yeah, I mean, I think Toronto falls. Boston can climb a little bit. I really don't think Tampa Bay goes anywhere. We talked about them. I mean, they're good. And I do think it could be somewhat close between Yankees and Tampa Bay because unless the Yankees get their head of their ass, I don't see them running away with it, especially if Tampa Bay is proven to be like the team that plays better. I don't know if they're the better team because the Yankees are in first place, but they do play better baseball. And I don't know if the Yankees can really run away with it if Tampa Bay is on your tail.
I think when you talk about those bottom 3 teams, I don't think you're talking about the division. I think it's strictly wild card. Can these guys make a wild card push at the end of the year, which Boston and the Blue Jays damn well might. I don't know so much about the Blue Jays, but listen, the Orioles, with how bad of a start they had, this is kind of a credit to how kind of bad the not how bad the AL is, but just kind of how up in the air it is. They're only 6.5 games back out of the wild card.
Who's that? Baltimore?
Yeah, they're only 6.5 games out. So it is kind of nuts to think that, and it's obviously like, if some of these teams start tanking and Baltimore gets a little hot here, who knows what's going to happen? But I don't think
because you look at the teams ahead of Baltimore. If you're going for the wild, they are one of the hotter teams at the bottom. Where Minnesota, super cold. The Angels, 4-6, like under 500 last 10. Even Kansas City. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. We'll see how those flip flop.
Yeah, so that's something to kind of keep an eye on because if the Orioles stay hot and they can get. How many games do you think there are before the break? Like 20?
Yeah, ish. Maybe like 15.
If they can go 12-8, or maybe even like a 10-5, it's gonna be interesting if they can get on a little hot streak here before the break. So I'm definitely gonna be keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, yeah, and I guess what I was saying about the Yankees not necessarily running away with shit in their own damn division. You kind of look around and it's like you want to see because Texas has showed glimpses of them getting, but they haven't really took off from there. Same with Kansas City, didn't take off. Minnesota took off and then plateaued. Like no one's really been able to take it and run, and I guess that's just because it is only June. Because we're seeing in the National League too. I mean, I think Mets Phillies is going to be back and forth.
Same. So do I.
We'll see what the Cubs do if they come down to earth. But we'll see who ends up ultimately taking it and running with it. I think as long as we're talking about the AL East right now, I'd love to see the Yankees. I'm not going to say it's like an easy schedule. You don't take anyone lightly. But now with Cincinnati, I don't know if I'm like terrified of them, but you got to win the series. And then you got the A's after Baltimore, who's been under 500. So I like to see the Yankees kind of run with things a little bit after they got cold to bounce back against these teams that aren't necessarily going to blow you out of the water and win that, and then really take off because someone has to take off, and it's got to be them.
Yeah, so then I guess talking about that, we'll talk about another team that's in the wild card. We'll move on to the Central. Detroit, best team in baseball, 49-30 right now. Did lose the series to Tampa Bay, but can't discredit what they're doing. Awesome over there. The Guardians are in second, but Kansas City now moves to third. 2 games out of the wild card. They're 10.5 back in the I don't really think Kansas City has their eyes set on winning the division, but also wild card as well. We talked about them. They just need to kind of put it together. They haven't put it together. I don't really have much to say about the Central because it's all flip-flop. Like, the Twins have finally come back down to what we knew they were. They're 1-9 in their last 10. And I think they're just going to drop even more. I don't really see them doing a whole lot otherwise. But kind of what are your thoughts on the Central, basically?
Yeah, I guess not much. We kind of been keeping up with the Central.
Yeah.
A lot on the program. But every team, unless your name is Detroit Tigers, all the other teams have a negative run differential. So, again, no one's really been able to get hot and really stay hot for at least a long period of time. When Minnesota did, they found themselves in second place. Now they're 1-9 in their last 10. Bang, bang, they're in fourth.
Yeah.
I love to see Kansas City, when they're able to get hot, stay, juice it, like you know what I mean? Like, take off. No one's taking off. And again, you're right. I mean, I don't know if anyone sees themselves as a first-place team because the way Detroit is, who lost the weekend to Tampa Bay. How about that? But the way Detroit is, you just got to win and try to climb in this division. Second-place team is only 2 games above 500, and they actually are on a 2-game win streak. So they were 500 as one of the better teams in this. So
exactly.
I like that it's close, but I have to see some team run with it, and I hope it's Kansas City, who is under 500 right now.
Yeah, and then I guess we'll get to a more interesting one because we talk about the Astros a whole lot and how it's their division. So the AL West, Astros 5 games up on the Mariners right now. Both of us predicted earlier in the year when we talked about who we thought was going to fall, and we said we thought the Seattle Mariners are going to fall. We did not think that Cal Riley was going to keep it up to this point, and Cal Riley is still keeping it up, and the Mariners still continue to fall. One I wanted to touch on was the Rangers are back in third. The Rangers, even with how bad they have started, are 2 games out on the wild card. So you have to think, dude, the Rangers pitching has been unbelievable for them this year and keeping them to where they're at right now. So can the Rangers be a wild card team this year, Spin?
I sure as fuck hope so. And I don't know why I'm just a big run differential guy today. I really am not. If you're watching this for the first time, you're like, wow, Spin likes run differential. I don't know, not necessarily, but today I do. Because Texas, I think, to your point, with their pitching, I think that's the reason they have a positive run differential. Because
it's the only reason. Their hitting sucks.
Their hitting's been terrible. To answer your question, though, I'd like to see Texas because they're another team. We've seen glimpses, but they haven't really shot up and been able to take off and go on, just go on the streak. They've been kind of, as soon as they get to that point, back down. And they can get to that point, back down, get there and take off. Easier said than done, of course, but I love to see them do that and then flip-flop with Seattle and not look back. Because they are kind of neck and neck with Seattle. And I mean, Seattle has 39 wins to Texas has 38 wins, but Texas also has 3 more losses. So, but I think I do think they can flip-flop with Seattle. And you got to respect Bruce Bochy in their corner, too.
Yeah. So I test with a team like the Rangers. You got Wyatt Langford, Jake Berger, Adolis Garcia, Jonah Heim, Josh Young, Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, even a guy like Evan Carter, Jock Peterson. You say that name on paper and you don't even look at their stats and you're like, wow, that team's stat lineup's hard to face. Not a single one of them are hitting above 250, minus Evan with regards to Evan Carter, who's hitting 256.
Is he? Is that true?
Yeah. He's the only one. Not a single one of them are hitting above 250 right now. And
that 256, I think, looks bad on him. I thought
it does because he started out. He came up and he was freaking hot when he
was. Maybe it's just it's gonna fluctuate greatly because he doesn't have crazy at bats. So maybe a 2 for 3 day could put him back above 260 or something, like, it's one of those deals.
So
But
it's nuts to me that I just list off all those names and not a single one of them are above 250, minus Evan Carr.
It is crazy. Because
So
I mean, that's not Semion's not playing like Semien.
no, not at all. Corey Seager is even playing like Corey Seager.
Crazy.
And it's Adolis sucks. They have 2 guys in double-digit home runs right now. When you have averages like they do, you need to start hitting bombs. And their highest one is Wyatt Langford. He's 13.
Damn. Yeah,
and you have a guy over 40 RBIs this year. Adolis Garcia has 37. He's their highest.
If they're gonna have all-stars, but it's gonna be multiple all-stars. It's that pitching staff, because I don't even like the bullpen. So they got to address that too. So I should have touched on it more when I was saying it. Like, I kind of just shit on Seattle, and I don't think Seattle's good, and I think Texas can climb. But realistically, how are they going to do that? Address issues in the pen, and hitters got to get hot. Now, banking on your guys to get hot could be a challenge. You know what I mean? Because it's not like, what do you do? Like, at least with the bullpen, that you could bring guys in and make trade acquisitions and address the bullpen and touch on that. If you're just kind of going to wait around for your guys to get hot, I mean, who knows how long that's going to take? You like to think that they're such professionals that they figure it out sooner rather than later, but we've been saying that all year, and now we're cruising into late June, and they're still under 500. Really quick on the Central, because I want to go back. When we put something on, we clipped something for TikTok, and it was about a while back. We were talking about how many teams come out of the Central. That was like the question, and I said 2. Detroit and KC comes out, and then we got people from Cleveland fans talking about. First of all, everyone's rude. Okay, you can disagree without name calling everybody. like, this guy clearly is clueless. They said Cleveland's way better than Kansas. Well, guess what? You just made an enemy. I hate Cleveland now. Well, of course, I want to see Cleveland fall in Kansas City. I should have said that when we were talking about the Central. And guess what? Seattle fans, they seem a little bit nicer. And I thought the people in the Midwest were nice. So that's kind of a shocking to hear that.
Cleveland's not. I mean, I guess you can call them. Yeah, they're Midwest.
That's still Ohio, dude. That's what the kids say.
Yeah, I mean, dude, they have nothing better to do but watch our TikToks and bitch at us.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh no, Minnesota's coming out too. Well, good. How's that working out? So yeah, it's not like Kansas City's working out for me either, but I think they can flip flop with Cleveland. And then, by the way, Seattle people seem to be a little bit nicer, because I put Cleveland and Seattle in a similar boat, and I do think Seattle falls too. So those are kind of like some of your second place teams, Cleveland, Seattle, who I do think will be in the hunt. But I am praying on their downfall. Just want everyone to know.
Yeah, I want Jose Ramirez to get traded so freaking badly.
Yeah, but do you though? He's not going to win there, right? He's not. Gonna win.
I think
like it lifelong. If you're that good and you play with one team, it's kind of sexy.
It is, and I just wish they would give him a chance to play in October, because he's undoubtedly like one of the best players in baseball every single year, and I just wish they would give him more of a chance.
Because I think in the J-Ram era, at their best, is like championship team. They haven't really. Well, no, they did win a pennant, but
they won.
That was with Lindor.
Yeah, and that was Lindor's team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
so,
I guess J-Ram was still like a clean-shaven little kid at that time. Maybe exactly. He was a little guy.
No, I think you're right.
I saw pictures of him. Maybe it was putting together a TikTok, and when I was researching pictures, he was like I saw a picture of him being like a clean-shaven little kid, and I was like, oh shit, J-Ram.
Yeah,
a young bull.
Yeah. All right, man. You want to get into our look ahead?
Yeah, let's look ahead to see what this week is going to bring us. This week in baseball, what do we got?
All right, so we're going to cruise through some of these and talk a little bit more in depth on others, but I guess we'll start with Texas and Baltimore. Corbin, and then they're not sure who they're throwing the next 2 days for Texas. And then you get Trevor Rogers, Charlie Morton, and not sure on Wednesday for Baltimore. I think Baltimore probably wins 2 out of 3 here.
Whoa, they are playing better ball, right?
Yeah.
They haven't been bad. Yeah, Texas Baltimore is like the Nelson Cruz series. But it's also
Nelson Cruz played for a lot of people, dude.
He did. That's why it's my cop-out answer when I can't think of one. This is maybe the Chris Davis series. I think he started in Texas. But no, this is the series of teams, like underperforming teams. So I would love to see Texas go out and kick their ass. Baltimore's the home team. I would probably look – if you're going to say Baltimore 2, I'll say Texas wins 2.
All right. And then we get to Atlanta, New York, Mets. The Atlanta just swept these guys. Mets are looking not great in their last 10. We've got Schwelly versus Paul Blackburn, Strider versus Frankie Montes. That's his first start, Montes, right? His first start.
Yeah, I think it is.
And then Didier Fuentes. How did Didier do the other day?
That's a good question. Let me see Frankie. So, yeah, he'll be making his first start. And then DDA, what's his name? Fuentes?
Fuentes, yeah.
Let's see how he did. 5 innings, 4 earned in Miami. That's good for a loss.
I think he was the youngest starter to ever go for Atlanta or something like that. He's really young. So, I mean, once again, we got to give these guys time. We're not going to completely discredit this guy yet. But he's going to be facing off versus Clay Holmes and then Grant Holmes versus a Griffin Canning. 4-game series. Important series for both of these teams. The Braves need to figure it the hell out, but they're 7-3 in their last 10. Mets are 2-8 in their last 10. Still 3 games up in the wild card, but of course just lost their first place to the Phillies. We're going to get into it later, but the Phillies have an interesting series against Houston. So the Mets kind of have to keep that in mind. The Mets, they could take their first place back here. Houston's been playing really good ball, but the Phillies got to go play them. So, like we said, there's peaks and valleys to every single MLB season. Right now, the Mets are in a valley looking to, climb themselves back up to the peak. Will they get it done against Atlanta, Spin?
I don't know. They're the better team over Atlanta. Not to say Atlanta, you mentioned the eye test on Texas. Do the eye test on Atlanta, and you're like, oh, fuck. But then you look at how their record and how some of these guys are playing, and, yeah, I mean, it's kind of outrageous to think that a team like this isn't over 500. I like that it's a 4-game series because I think that they can split it.
I think that's where I'm leaning towards too. It's 2-2. I'd probably go Schwelly and Strider, and then Holmes and Canning.
I can, yeah, okay. I can maybe I'll just switch it up and think that they maybe trade blows a little bit more. But I think that'd be kind of crazy. But we'll see how the series ultimately plays out. I think the Mets are the better in the standings, but playing worse baseball. 2-8 in their last 10. They don't look great. Where the Braves are 7-3 in their last 10. One of the more hotter teams in the NL or in this division. So I do think they trade blows a little bit and maybe split the series. The Braves are another team that I like to see them do something and then not look back and climb. They haven't really been able to do that. So we'll see if they can take advantage of their hot streak here in late June.
All right. Next, we'll get on to your boys, Yanks versus Cincy. I think this is going to be their 14th, 15th, and 16th game in a row for them.
It is.
Yeah. So we get Alan. I don't even know how.
Winans, I think. Alan Winans. I don't know either because he's making his first start tonight. So let's go,
awesome.
Alan.
Versus Nick Lodolo, Carlos Rodon versus Not Sure, and Max Fried versus Not Sure. If I'm the Yankees, you need to sweep.
If I'm the Yankees, I'm thanking the Lord that we're not seeing Andrew Abbott in this series because you wouldn't be able to touch Andrew Abbott in this series, New York. You don't hit good enough to be able to face golf against good pitching. We'll see who the Reds throw because they do have some sneaky motherfuckers, and I don't want to shit on Lodolo. He's pretty good. But I think you're right. I mean, maybe I won't go crazy and say sweep. I want to see at least Rodon and Fried get it done. I think they're going to keep you in games, and then you have to hit because the offense already took a vacation. So you can't take 2 vacations. You know what I mean? So with Rodon and Fried, who can keep you in games, the offense, there's no excuse. You got to hit.
And we talk about the Reds being streaky. They're 5-5 in their last 10. Just had a pretty hard series against, St. Louis. They were pretty hot before that. So, listen, they can. I think they definitely win this series, and it would be great for the Yankees as a whole to sweep.
It would be great. I would love them to sweep and then go into a much-needed off day, and then the A's. They'll be back at home for when the A's come to town.
Yeah.
That would be great little look ahead there with their upcoming schedule. I'd love that. But we'll see how Alan Winans pitches tonight. I mean, it's a kind of a spot start for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting called up for AAA, and I think Stroman might be coming back. So in the meantime, here's Winans as Yarborough gets banged up, and they bring him up for a game. So, yeah, we'll see. But either way, at least 2 out of 3. You got to win the series because, like I said, you already took a fucking vacation last week. You can't do it again.
And then we'll go to Seattle at Minnesota. We already talked about the struggles that Minnesota's been having. Same thing with Seattle, but Cal Riley's been electric. Ryan Wu, Castillo, Kirby, and Emerson Hancock for Seattle. Ober, Paddock, Joe Ryan, and Simeon Woods Richardson for Minnesota. For me, I really want to say that Seattle wins three out of 4 in this.
I love
like
that.
Ryan Wu. I like what George Kirby's doing, and then I think they can win one of the Luis Castillo and Emerson Hancock as well.
How about Wednesday, 7:40 in the Twin Cities? Kirby, Joe Ryan. Ooh, maybe all eyes on that matchup. But I agree with you. I agree. I want to see Seattle win 3 out of 4 here. Really take the series. Fuck Minnesota. We've never liked them. I like that. I'm sorry to prey on their downfall, but guess what? I'm doing it. So let's go see these Seattle starters do what we thought they were going to do before the season started. Good to see them roll out those guys.
And then we'll move on to Arizona in Chi-Town, White Sox, south side of Chicago. Eduardo Rodriguez versus Shane Smith, Ryan Nelson versus Sean Burke, and then Zach Gallen versus Not Sure. You want to say Arizona goes in and sweeps this, but Arizona has been so wishy-washy as of late.
Yeah.
Like, if Arizona went in and swept this, it would force them to be 4 games over 500, which would be nuts for them because they can't seem to get anywhere away from that 500 mark.
If they went in and swept this, it would put them kind of where San Diego is now. Not in the standings, but in terms of wins.
Yeah.
Which doesn't look terrible. But they have been wishy-washy, to your point, and they just came off a series against who did they just play over the weekend? Colorado, I think.
Who,
the Diamondbacks? Yeah, I think they just played Colorado.
I think you're right, yeah.
They took 2 out of 3, which is good for them. But you do kind of want to sweep. So when you have like 6, your 6. When you look at the schedule and you see 6 games in a row, 3 games against Colorado, 3 games against the White Sox. How do you want to come out of those 6 games? 5-1, because they lost already yesterday. They lost yesterday to Colorado. So how do you want to come out of those 6 games? Are you content with 4-2, which at least you win the series then? Which I'm not mad at it. But if you're Arizona and you're in 4th place and need to climb, I think you look at Colorado and White Sox and say, well, we kind of have to go 5-1 here.
Yeah, and it kind of sucks because now they're facing off against Shane Smith and Sean Burke, are 2 of the best starters for the White Sox. I mean, so
I don't think they sweep, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they probably won't. But
it's in Chicago. The White Sox aren't a team like last year that can just get swept. Like I don't think they're good enough to like. I mean, they'll compete. I don't know if Arizona is going to come in and sweep you. I really don't.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting series to see. I think they probably win 2 out of 3. But next we'll get to a division series in Pittsburgh versus Milwaukee. Got Braxton Ashcraft versus Chad Patrick, Andrew Heaney versus Freddie Peralta, and Paul Skeens versus Mizorowski. Though that back end there, and Andrew Heaney versus Peralta, and then Skeens versus Mizorowski. Normally, I would say this is not a series to tune into, but those 2 pitching matchups might be two games you guys might want to watch.
Yeah, and speaking of young dudes, I guess Braxton Ashcraft is like an opener. So who knows what they're doing that day. I was curious on this on Braxton. I don't know much about it. I guess he's an opener, but yeah, you're right. I would expect Milwaukee to take at least 2 of these games, but Skeens and Mizorowski is going to get for like a Pittsburgh team that's never going to get talked about. Obviously, when Skeens pitches, you want to tune in, and Mizorowski on the other end for Milwaukee is going to make it a really good duel, you would like to think. So that's going to be crazy, but I do expect Milwaukee 2 out of 3, at least.
Yeah, same with me, but just keep just a little note, 2 good pitching matchups everybody might want to tune into. Good series. St. Louis falling to 3rd place. Chicago still obviously in the lead, but we got Chicago at Seattle. Ben Brown versus a Libertor. Jameson Taillon versus not sure who they're throwing, and then nobody's positive who they're throwing Wednesday, Thursday yet. Chicago, we talk about how stellar they've been all year. St. Louis has been solid too, but also just fell into 3rd place. They're 6-4 in their last 10, so they're still doing pretty well. I mean, can't just write off St. Louis. And you know what? I'm going to say it. They split 2-2.
Ooh.
They split 2-2 in this 4 game.
The Cubbies lost the series against the Mariners at home over the weekend, right? Seattle Cubs, Seattle. So Seattle took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs at their place. The Cubs have been playing some good series, and so have the Cardinals. It was just a Cardinals-Cincinnati over the weekend, right? And Cardinals, I guess, played better ball because I think they were tied in that division, Cardinals-Cincinnati, and then the Cardinals with a division win. A series win. They do it. If you said split, let me lean Cubbies here then, so we could be different, and I'll say the Cubbies show everyone why that they're the real deal in first place.
I like that. Yeah, show them who actually little brother is. Mm-hmm. Next, we get to Boston and LA. Bueller versus Chanowitz, Crochet versus Anderson, then Fitz versus Kikuchi. I'm just going Boston's on their West Coast road trip right now. I don't think they sweep this because of that. It's always hard to go on a West Coast road trip and then, just be sweeping teams and stuff like that. So I'm going to go with Boston 2 out of 3 here.
Yeah, they're doing a little tour of California, right? From San Fran out to LA, Anaheim, I guess. What did you have? Boston 2 out of 3?
Yeah.
I'll ride it because you got to respect Crochet. A little battle of the lefties with him and Tyler Anderson, and then between one of them, Kikuchi's been good. Maybe Boston wins the first 2, and then Kikuchi and the boys avoid a sweep because Kikuchi can do that. Good little guy.
I see that, but then we get a Washington, San Diego. Those boys in Washington get to show San Diego what they're missing now. They might want to put on a show over there. But we got
Washington, you're saying?
Yeah, we got Mitch Parker versus Stephen Kolek, and then Trevor Williams, Mackenzie Gore, the next 2. San Diego's not sure they're throwing for the next 2. I want to say, I don't think Washington's going to win the series. I still think San Diego wins the series. But Washington just put up a good fight in that Dodgers series, what they just did. And now you have Abrams, Woods, and Mackenzie Gore, who is going to be throwing in this series, all who were Padres prospects who they gave up on for Juan Soto. So I don't think this is anything to slouch off on. I think people might want to tune into this one.
I think because we will see Mackenzie Gore in this, pitching on Wednesday. A lot of people call this the Juan Soto series. We call it the Mackenzie Gore series. Yeah. So let's go Washington, because I'm also praying on San Diego's downfall, and I want to see snakes alive. So I like to see the standings, at least them climbing the standings, the Diamondbacks, that is. So let's go Washington. Let's go.
I would love it.
Did you say 2 out of 3 Washington? Is that what you said?
I said 2 out of 3. I think San Diego still does it. But
yeah, well, they are the home also and the better team. So
I do think it's going to be a better series than people think, though, because these Washington guys put up a fight every single time.
I think that's the more logical thing, but I'm going to jump out of my shoes and I'm going to say Washington. Let's go.
I'm not mad at that, Spin. I'm not mad at that.
They've been playing such bad baseball too. But,
they have been playing really bad baseball. But anyway, let's get to where we at next. We got A's at Detroit, Severino, Lopez, and Springs, and then Tariq Skubal Day, Flattery on Wednesday, and not sure on Thursday. Detroit just lost the series. I think they're going to be pissed about it, and I'd probably have them going out and sweeping this.
Yeah, that's supposed to be getting the Brunas. I look like
Springs out and sweeping the A's here.
Yeah. I agree with you. This is the Yoenis Cespedes series, so you got to sweep.
And then we'll get to Toronto at Cleveland. 2 interesting teams. Toronto playing good baseball, Cleveland winning their last 2. Eric Lauer versus Logan Allen. Return of Scherzer versus Gavin Williams, and then Gausman versus Bibby. They are in Cleveland. I'm going to go Toronto wins 2 out of 3 this series.
Yeah, fuck Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
And I know I'm kind of looking at I'm looking ahead on the look ahead here, and I'm looking at Tampa Bay, Kansas City being the next one. Because I want to see Kansas City climb in the standings, but they got their work cut out for them. So let's hope that Toronto can do them a job, because we got 2 AL East teams, Toronto and Tampa Bay, playing some teams in the Central. Yeah. All of whom are trying to be in the hunt later. I think Toronto can come in and do a job. I like that. Scherzer, that'd be cool. Scherzer pitch well.
Yeah.
What's the deal with this series though? Toronto, Cleveland. That's I don't know what to call that. The
Andres Jimenez series. Did he play for the Guardians?
Yes, he did. That's the Andres Jimenez series. I was thinking of who was I thinking of? One of the Alomars, maybe, or
Oh, you could have, yeah.
I don't even know if that's true. Okay, Andres Jimenez. We'll go.
Then we get Tampa Bay, Kansas City, as you just said. Bradley, Russ Munson, and Baz, respectively, for Tampa Bay. Kansas City's got Bubic, Waka, and Lorenzen. Going to be some sneaky pitching duels in here mixed in. Would love to see a Bubic versus a Russ Munson or a Baz, but, oh well. Tampa Bay, they're going to win 2 out of 3. I hate to say it, dude. Kansas City's going to, I know how high you are on them, but Tampa Bay is going to win 2 out of 3 here.
Okay. For the Ben Zobrist series, I think you're probably right. Tampa Bay is clearly the better team. They play fantastic baseball. They can take care of business, by the way, because they can definitely waltz into your home and fucking win the series. They can definitely do that. But I'm going to go, since you went that route, which I think is very much the case, that very well could happen. I'm going to go the other route and really bank on my boys out there in KC, man. I think I really want to see them play good ball against Tampa Bay and take 2 out of 3. They really haven't been giving me any reason to think that, except for the fact that I looked at them on paper and I thought they were good coming in this season, and they have to take that next leap. This would be a great leap for them to take. Maybe it's a long shot, but let's go Kansas City. I'm really putting my chips on you right now.
The Royals need that series, and it could be it. They need that series that they can look back on and be like, this is when we realize we actually can put it together. We are a good team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe the Ben Zobrist series is the turning point for them. We'll see.
But then we get to Philly at Houston. This is probably with regards to Atlanta Mets, I think that will be a good series. But Philly's Houston is probably one of the better series we have in this early week here.
Got to be the best. I would say it's the best because I don't know if there's other 2 first-place teams facing off this week early in the week.
Yeah, so we're getting Ranger versus Framber on Tuesday, Wheeler versus Gordon on Wednesday, and Thursday we get Sanchez versus Brown on Thursday. This is going to be really good baseball.
It's a heavyweight fight.
Yeah, a lot of good pitchers going. Obviously, a World Series rematch from all the way back then. Guess what? These 2 teams look a little bit – I mean, the Astros look a whole lot different than when they won their last World Series. Philly might be a little bit more the same, I guess you could say, with a couple pieces obviously changing. Pitching staff, we're getting Ranger, we're getting Wheeler, we're getting Sanchez, we're getting 3 guys I want on the bump. But then again, we're facing Framber versus Brown. Gonna be awesome to see. I'm going Phillies 2 out of 3. Kind of betting with my heart here, even though Astros have been one of the hottest teams in baseball right now.
And boy, do they take care of business, the Astros, that is. The Phillies can too. They do have that about them, but maybe a little bit more trendy, where Houston maybe was a little slow for the first month and a half and then never looked back.
And they have Pena, Jake Myers is playing well. Of course, Altuve's there. Paredes is having a pretty good year. I mean, they have it all over the place over there in Houston. It's gonna be tough for these Phillies.
And you were speaking highly of a couple AL managers early, Kevin Cash and AJ Hinch. I think his name is Joey Espada. Is his name Joe Espada, whatever? Houston's guy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe throw him in the mix too. I mean, they're on their 3rd manager since their first World Series in 2017. And it's not because these guys are getting fired left and right and they're fishing for guys. They just keep getting good. Well, obviously Hinch, maybe he was let go, I think, whatever his thing was. But then, Dusty Baker comes in and retires. Yeah, they parted ways. Yeah, they parted ways. He respectfully had to stand down. But either way, you win with AJ Hinch and then all that bullshit happened. Then you win with Dusty Baker. Now Espada is looking like they can win with him too. So this is a good club. Whatever. We'll see a pair of lefties Tuesday, Ranger and Framber. I wish this game was today because that would that'd be whatever. But
the scouting department of the Astros needs to be studied. Because the fact that it is to keep popping out, like Cam Smith, I didn't even bring up Cam Smith. They had no problem trading Kyle Tucker over there.
Yeah, no. I think Zach Wheeler's start you got to win because Colton Gordon, he's going against Colton. So if we're just coming down to pitchers, I got to see Zach Wheeler come in and outpitch Colton Gordon and Phillies scrap some runs. Wheeler doesn't need a lot of runs. Maybe the bullpen does, but Wheeler doesn't need a lot of runs. And then between Ranger and Christopher, they're both going against some studs, Ranger and Framber, Sanchez and Brown. I like to see Phillies win at one of those. And if you could it's going to be a dogfight. If you could win one of those and Wheeler can come in and do his job, you get hit for Wheeler. There's a decent chance they could take 2 out of 3 here. I'll roll with Philly. Maintain possession of first. Let's go.
I love it. I freaking love it, especially with the Mets playing the Braves, and it's going to be a hard series as well. So there might be some shakeup, there might not be. Let's see. But
and I had the series pinged, the weekend set. You had the Phil sweeping. I had Phillies, Mets, Phillies. You got it. You really juiced it. I wish they would have swept, but Mick Abel didn't have it, I guess, on Saturday. But I pinged it there. Let's ping it again, Schwelshi. Let's ping it again. Maintain for the Phils. This is gonna be a good series. I'm actually excited about this one.
I know. This is must see. This is kind of must see baseball. This is two really good teams going facing off against each other. Two playoff teams. Two guys looking to win World Series this year. So.
And then with that being said, the next two series is kind of the opposite. It's lopsided left and right.
Yeah, at Los Angeles versus Colorado. I'm not even like Yamamoto. We get Kershaw pitching. We talked about it a little earlier. We're going to see Verlander, Kershaw, and Scherzer because Verlander is going to go, tomorrow for San Francisco? Yeah, so Dodgers sweep.
Yeah, and I liked Kershaw was a spin streamer for his last outing against Washington. He went 5 innings, 2 and gets a win. He's 3-0 on the year, and he's looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
And his hardest matchup of the season was probably a division rival in San Fran. He went 7 scoreless against them. So yeah, Kershaw, good for you. We love to just watch him pitch. That's going to be really the only talking point, I think, of this series. It'll be the only storyline, that and Yamamoto. But you have to expect the Dodgers to sweep. And then what did you talk about? Verlander on Tuesday also. So that's cool for the Miami.
Yeah, so speaking of Verlander, they have Verlander, Webb, and Birdsong going for him. And Miami's got Cal, the Canadian Quantrill, Edward Cabrera, and Jansen Junk. I don't know if San Francisco sweeps this one, actually.
No, Miami can play you hard. Jansen Junk's, I don't like this matchup for him. On Tuesday or Thursday, he pitches. I don't like the matchup against San Fran, but Jansen Junk's gonna turn into a spin streamer. He's pretty good.
How's he looking?
Pretty good. I guess he got a 5-inning save one time, but his last 2 outings, he's 2-0. Well, he's 2-0 in the year. He hasn't got a lot of outings. Maybe they looked at him to be some type of long reliever in the past, but he's worked up a point where he is starting games and going 5 and maybe into the 6th inning at times, and he's looked really good. 2.6 ERA.
Yeah, and Edward Cabrera looked pretty damn good in his last outing against the Phillies too. So I mean, I guess I probably won't say San Francisco sweeps this one. I'll probably go 2 out of 3 San Francisco. Okay,
I'll roll with that too. Miami can play hard every so often. Their offense isn't good enough to consistently put it on you, but every so often they do show up. And we'll see what day they'd like to pick. What day do you think that they choose? Maybe
I'd probably go with Edward Cabrera against
they show up again. Ooh, I think it's Webb's. I think Webb shoves, and I don't want to see Verlander get rocked because so maybe they show up against Birdsong.
The young guy, Hayden Birdsong. All right.
Yeah. But hey, by the way, that was our look ahead. But by the way, I don't think we talked about how our weekend. There we go. I don't think we talk about our weekend. You were shooting 44% on the weekend. You got to get your fastball back.
I know.
And not that I kicked ass, but I was 58%, which I think is good. I think you kind of
that is good. That is good.
The high 50s is respectable.
I've had 2 really bad weekends.
I know. So we have it on record for this. Let's see if we can get it going, and then we'll come Friday. We really got to bounce back here, but not bad. I'll tell you this though, as we approach a little over the 90-minute mark, I'll tell you this one. Which one did you ping? Did you have any on the schnoz here?
Probably not.
No. But no, sorry, you didn't.
You had what? You had 2 series?
Oh, well, I pinged on the Phillies and Mets. I pinged on Houston, LA Angels. And I pinged on the Boston San Fran. Don't forget about that one.
Yeah. Look at you.
I pinged yeah, look at me. How about that? There's a time when you were pinging and I was fucking struggling. The
turntables have turned.
The turntables. So we'll have to tune in for Friday when we do our picks. And you got to get back in the win column here because guess what? I'm coming for you.
I will. Don't worry. I'll bounce back.
That's it, guys. That's a look ahead. We'll recap of the weekend. John in the morning. Off Base Media, baby. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you Wednesday.